Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the University of Southern California. Thank you for joining us to celebrate USC's combined 137th and 138th commencement ceremonies. At this time, please welcome the members of the Platform Party as they make their way to the stage. Dean of the USC Roski School of Art and Design, Haven Lynn Kirk. Dean of the USC Iovine and Young Academy, Erica Mull. Dean of the USC School of Pharmacy, Vasilios Papadopoulos. Dean of the Keck School of Medicine of USC, Narsing Rao. Professor of Clinical Pediatrics and Medical Education, Department Chair of Medical Education, and Vice Dean for Medical Education at the Keck School of Medicine of USC, Donna Elliott. Director of the Primary Care Physician Assistant Program and Associate Dean for Graduate Student Affairs at the Keck School of Medicine of USC, Kevin Lohenry. Professor Emeritus of Clinical Pharmacy at the USC School of Pharmacy, Glenn Stimmel. Valedictorian of the Class of 2020, Isabella Hopman. Commencement Speaker, Bina Venkatraman. Provost Charles F. Zukowski. And President Carol L. Folt. Lining the stage are heraldic flags representing each of USC's 21 degree-granting schools and academic units. These banners are a commencement tradition, and they symbolize the history being celebrated and created today. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the presentation of the colors and the singing of the national anthem, performed by Catherine Kiboda.
Carry colors. Ready, cut. Forward, step. Present, colors. Order, colors. Ready, cut.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched was so gallantly streaming, and the rockets rescued, the bombs bursting in air, gave proofs through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our Dean of Religious and Spiritual Life, Varun Soni, who will deliver today's invocation.
I'm so grateful to join you for this historic occasion as we finally return together to our beautiful campus in our beloved City of Angels. As we gather together for the first time in more than a year, I want to acknowledge that our campus and our city were built on the ancestral lands of the Tongva people. And so I want to take this moment to pay my respects to the Tongva elders, past, present, and future, who have stewarded the sacred land throughout the generations, and to honor their extraordinary traditions, identities, and stories, which are far too often ignored and erased. Thank you. Scripture tells us that today is the day that the Lord made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. And yet, it seems so strange to talk about rejoicing right now. Over the last year, it feels like we've been living through an apocalyptic end of days scenario. We're in the midst of a global plague. We've had fires and hurricanes. We've experienced civil and political unrest. We've even seen swarms of locusts descend upon us. I'm not sure there's anything more biblical than locusts. But even though this is unlike any year we've ever experienced before, as the Dean of Religious and Spiritual Life, it all felt very familiar to me. Why? Because all of our religious texts and traditions are filled with stories of floods, of plagues, of fires, and of other cataclysmic events that shake us to our core. And in each case, we are given a choice about how to act and move in the world, and how to translate our suffering into resiliency. Although this year felt disempowering for so many of us, all of us have been given a once-in-a-century opportunity to now tell new stories about ourselves and about our world, stories of hope and healing, stories of justice and belonging, stories that break us open and make us whole again. Ultimately, we choose the stories that we tell about ourselves, and we end up becoming the stories that we tell about ourselves, and that's where we have real power. And so, my hope for all of you is that you embrace storytelling as your new superpower for your new adventure. And as you write the next chapter of your life story, may you be inspired to bring your gifts of love and service to the altar of humanity. May you recognize once again that you are not isolated beings, but deeply connected in miracle and in mystery to this university, to this community, and to each other. And as you move forward, may you go with peace and prosperity. May you go with blessing and inspiration. May you forever fight on. And may we all say together, Amen. Thank you.
And now, please welcome the President of the University of Southern California, Dr. Carol Folt.
Oh my goodness. It looks so wonderful to see you. You look so beautiful, and it is fabulous to be here. Thank you, Dean Soni, for your wonderful remarks, and also for helping us face challenges this year with clarity and hope. And greetings, everyone, and welcome to the 2021 and 2020 commencement at the University of Southern California. Here we are in the historic Coliseum, the first class to graduate here in 70 years. And we even lit the torch in honor of all of you, our graduates. I can't tell you how happy it makes me to be with so many of you as we celebrate not one, but two graduating classes. That's more than 38,000 degrees, going to individuals in every walk of life, from every corner of the globe, and from every background imaginable. Thousands of hopes and dreams are right here in person or joining us online from around the world today, each of you with stories of triumph and perseverance. I know, and I'm really sorry that so many of you and your loved ones could not be here in person, and I do know how disappointing that is. But please know that you're all in our hearts and our thoughts today, and we look forward to welcoming everyone back to campus soon. Two overwhelming factors shaped the past year for all of us. COVID-19, and the cries coming from across the nation to stop racism, hate, and social injustice. We were tested in ways that we could have scarcely imagined a year ago. In some cases, the pandemic forced you to shift your gears or plan for different paths. Some of you, like so many across the world, endured imaginable personal loss and hurt. To our friends and our colleagues in India, you are very much in our thoughts right now as you work to contain the shocking surge in COVID-19 cases and deaths in your country. And we're also thinking of our friends in the Middle East who are coping with devastating violence there. Here at USC, I am inspired daily by the courage and the perseverance that I see. And I have been deeply moved as I've watched you discover new opportunities to contribute and grow even during these difficult times. Whatever its impact, COVID didn't derail or defeat you. It certainly didn't define you. You wouldn't let it, and we wouldn't either. Instead, our faculty, our staff, our students, legions of generous alumni doubled down to do their all to make sure that you received a first-class education, whatever the circumstances. And I believe that we all benefited by innovating, by finding new ways of thinking and operating, and by unleashing the tremendous creative power that we all carry. And also by reaching deep into our personal reservoirs of service, fairness, and empathy to build bridges, heal wounds, rekindle our hopes, and inspire excellence. I want to call out for special mention and thanks all the caring doctors, the nurses, essential workers, researchers, and others, including some of our graduates here today, who bravely and selflessly joined the fight against COVID and helped to save and rebuild thousands of lives. Thank you. You are heroes of this time in history. And I also salute all of our graduates who are putting public service at the center of their lives, in the military, in government, and elsewhere. You will make the difference that we need ahead. You did all this and much more, of course, thanks to the deep foundation of scholarship and service that really is the DNA of USC. And this is a foundation that is beautifully captured in our mission, which says, to develop human beings and society as a whole through the cultivation and the enrichment of the human mind and spirit. Those are powerful words that you've lived every day here, and we have seen the strength of your mind and spirits as they've taken flight. Whether you composed a hip-hop opera, or you argued successfully in moot court, or engineered a robotic tool to help surgeons, vaccinated fellow Angelenos, planned for the growth of the urban forest right here in Los Angeles, or any of the thousands of other remarkable achievements by USC students. You brought that USC mission to life, and you proved once more how important and relevant it is for today and tomorrow's world. And so now, graduates, it's your time to fly, it's your time to soar, your next path to make your mark and create your legacy in places well beyond your home here. How you do it is, of course, up to you. With your USC degrees, you have the tools and the grounding to make it happen. All you need is your vision, your blueprint for action. Now, maybe you already have one that you developed while you were here at USC. Or maybe you're not at a place yet where you can make out the contours of your future. That's okay. Plans change and visions evolve, and yours will too. As you think about navigating your future, I want to share 5 compass points that I think might be useful. First, stay curious and always driven to learn, discover, and excel. Education is a lifelong process. Second, wherever you go, work to expand the tent, to advance belonging, diversity, and equitability for all. It isn't just institutions like USC that need to make this a priority. Individuals do as well. It starts with each one of us as humans. Third, be the one who is always reaching out to collaborate, to bring people together, especially people who don't necessarily agree with your opinions. And I promise this will enrich your lives. Fourth, please tread lightly on the planet. Don't be afraid to take on the grand challenges of our times, like sustainability, like social and racial justice, world peace, health and educational equity, and so much more. You are capable of contributing meaningfully to solutions in ways that most people could only dream of doing. It's your privilege and your responsibility. And finally, a vision without strong values is only a hollow promise. So be sure to follow your North Star and trust in yourselves. What you've been through over the past year has prepared you to excel and lead. You're dreamers, you're doers, pioneers, trailblazers, visionary, change agents. You make me optimistic about the future. So now, before you go to take your final steps to graduate, I'm going to share a brief story with you. As you may know, I'm a scientist and a biologist, and I am inspired by the splendor of the natural world, by the sounds, the smells, the animals, the plants of the living world around us. And I'm also inspired by the unpredictability, the loss, and the rebirth that is everywhere. A few years ago, I crouched on a rocky cliff high over a beach at the southernmost tip of New Zealand. I was there, concealed behind my hideaway, to witness an ancient and magical event, the flight of a newly fledged royal albatross. From just a few feet away, I watched one of the world's largest seabirds with a wingspan of nearly 12 feet run forward with an ungainly, awkward stride and leap off the cliff and catch the currents of the wind and soar far out over sea at the start of its year-long journey over water. It was unforgettable, a biologist's dream. My memory of that bird's leap into the unknown made me think of you. You're getting ready to take your own next leap, your own transition. And I want you to think about the wild exuberance associated with taking flight, and about the new perspective that you gain when you're soaring above the clouds. Of course, the albatross is ready for it. Millions of years of evolution have engineered them perfectly for flight. They will not even touch the land for another year. So now it's your turn, USC graduates. Your own moment is arriving, and you're absolutely ready. So you will be taking that leap, taking flight, and you are well prepared to change the world. And now, it is my pleasure to introduce the valedictorian for the class of 2021, Tiana Shaw Wakeman. Now, yes. Now, talk about a change maker who is ready to soar. Tiana is receiving her BA in psychology from Dornsife and her master's in social entrepreneurship from Marshall. Tiana is a talented scholar and a wonderful person. In addition to her academic work, she has been a powerful voice for our sustainability efforts and many other initiatives across campus. She's already shown so many in our community how they can make USC a greener place. I got to know Tiana when we worked together on USC's Presidential Task Force on Sustainability. I'm in awe of everything she accomplishes and the way she thinks about and gives voice to goals. Whether talking about waste reduction, carbon neutrality, divesting in fossil fuels, or environmental justice, Tiana brings people together and makes things happen. She's also deeply committed to education. At USC, she volunteered with Visions and Voices, mentored local middle school students, and her leadership extends well beyond our campuses as she continues to tackle environmental issues with Mayor Garcetti's Youth Council on Climate Action. Tiana has a special distinction today. She's USC's first Black valedictorian. Like all of you, she wants to make a difference in the world. I can't wait to hear the message that she has for us and for her fellow graduates. So please join me in welcoming Tiana Shaw Wakeman.
Hello, USC Class of 2021. Welcome and congratulations. My name is Tiana Shaw Wakeman, and I recently found out that after 140 years of operations, I stand before you as USC's first Black university valedictorian. To me, this revelation stands as a testament, albeit small, to both how far we've come as an institution, as a country, and how far we have to go. But before we talk about the future, let's talk about the past, my past. My parents were outwardly star-crossed lovers who married in 1995 at a time and in a place that didn't support their union. They experienced the judgment and hate indicative of our country's history of slavery, racial segregation, and the vestiges of anti-miscegenation laws. So you might ask, and some have, why did they marry? Why did they have kids? Why did they choose a life that put them directly in the middle of the racial struggles in our country? Truthfully, they didn't choose. They didn't choose to exist within a society where some deemed their love to be wrong because of the color of their skin, any more than I chose to live in a world that deems people who look like me to be deserving of police brutality, to be less important. None of us chose to live in a world consumed by racial injustice, but we all do. Now, though, we can choose how we navigate in it. We can choose to do the work of learning about our country's history, to do the work of rooting out racism in ourselves and the communities we inhabit. And if you identify as being a part of a minority group like me, we can choose to love ourselves and be gentle with ourselves, despite what society tells us. This past year, in the midst of COVID-19, we experienced how quickly and ferociously hate can spread and become its own pandemic. But we can choose not to be a part of it. In our future careers, future families, and future relationships, we can choose to use the best parts of ourselves to see the best parts in everyone else. Now, to my family, thank you for being a constant example of how incredibly powerful love is and for supporting me throughout my USC journey. To my mentors, professors, and advisors, thank you for being so open with your time and with your care. To my fellow graduates, congratulations. You have all given so much to be here, and you made it through this year that honestly felt like a lifetime. I hope you soak in the bliss of this moment. And if you're vaccinated, of course, hug the people you love and haven't seen in over a year. But you know, I don't just think we have a responsibility to not spread hate. I think we also have a responsibility, or rather, the privilege, to give. So every single day of your lives, I ask you to give kindness, not malice. Give support, not judgment. Give compassion, not aggression. But if you do come face to face with hate, be as strong as I believe my parents were 26 years ago. Fight for a world where future generations won't have to keep making the same kind of choices in the same kind of environment that we do. And I promise you, I'll be there fighting on with my fellow Trojans. Thank you.
Thank you, Tiana, for your inspiring words. Now we have a treat from the Thornton School of Music. Some of our graduating students have put together a special performance of the original song, One More Smile. The ensemble includes Andy Brems, Nico Embry, Spencer Lemon, Ben Lindenberg, and Leela Ford. Leela wrote the song you're about to hear. Let's all enjoy some music from our talented student jazz ensemble.
I used to think I knew what love was, how it felt and how it grew. But the story unforetold of someone you hold your whole life through, and it still feels like it's new. I used to weep and cry just waiting for a sign that you were the one maybe I'm meant to love. One more smile could make my heart take flight. I wished upon a star and then came you, dreaming through the night and daytime, wondering when I'll wake from this enchanted state. Oh, one more breath before the sun has set. The moment's lost, but still it's in your eyes. Open up my heart to find I'm dreaming of our song. I'll find it again with you. One more smile could make my heart take flight. I wished upon a star and then came you, dreaming through the night and daytime, wondering when I'll wake from this enchanted state. Oh, one more breath before the sun has set. The moment's lost, but still it's in your eyes. Open up my heart to find I'm dreaming of our song. I'll find it again with you.
That was really fantastic, and it just shows the wells of talent that we have here at the Thornton School. Next, I have the privilege of introducing the valedictorian for the class of 2020, Isabella Hauptman. Isabella received her degree in cognitive science from Dornsife last year and is now earning her master's in applied biostatistics and epidemiology at the Keck School. Her interest in public health started in grade school after she learned about epidemics in a lesson on medieval history. Isabella's studies have given her a unique perspective on the pandemic, and her experiences have only strengthened her desire to make a difference. She's especially focused on improving healthcare for children and families. For the past 3 years, she's worked with researchers at the Biobehavioral Pain Lab at Children's Hospital Los Angeles, where she helps find ways to ease the stress and anxiety of younger patients. She's also been a dedicated volunteer with organizations such as the Ronald McDonald House Charities, and her compassion shines through in her work with Camp Kesem, where she mentors children whose parents have been diagnosed with cancer. Isabella also received USC's Emma Josephine Bradley Bovard Award for her excellent academic work. She, too, is an inspiration to all, and we asked her to come back and share some words with you today. So let's hear from her now. Please welcome Isabella Hauptman.
Thank you so much for the introduction, President Folt. It's me again, back by popular demand. 2 valedictory addresses in 1 year. I think that's a new USC record. I feel truly privileged to be here today to speak to the class of 2020 and 2021, since I am a graduate of both. I will admit, however, it is quite sobering. When I gave my first address to the class of 2020, it had only been 2 months since the World Health Organization characterized COVID-19 as a pandemic. Here we are now, a year later, and as I'm sure most of you can relate, this year has felt more like a lifetime. I know that because I am now graduating with my master's in biostatistics and epidemiology, you might expect me to talk about COVID-19. You think I'll lecture you about wearing a mask when appropriate, which you should, or ask that you respect social distancing guidelines, which you should, or convince you to get vaccinated, which, if you are eligible and able, you should. Rest assured, I won't be giving that speech today. I also won't be crowdsourcing for a job, but I am putting it out there, I'm looking. Instead, I plan to discuss something that has been sitting on my mind. Since last March, the majority of our conversations, personal, professional, political, have been dominated by the concept of a return to normalcy. We've asked incessantly when things can go back to the way they were. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm all for hugging, seeing grandparents, eating indoors, and sharing lip balm again. Well, maybe not the last one, but fundamentally, I have a problem with this language. The notion of going backwards to what was seems a bit misguided to me. Collectively, we are experiencing trauma that cuts long and cuts deep. Trauma that has gnawed away at our empathy, our compassion, our justice. Trauma that is exposing even more underlying conditions that plague this country and have since its inception. And if you've been paying attention, you too have come to the conclusion that these issues, yes, I'm talking about racism and social injustice, among others, don't go away by ignoring them or simply moving on without acknowledging our role in them. After all that we have witnessed, it's unreasonable to assume we can or should just return to normal. In my humble opinion, we should be less focused on returning and more focused on arriving, on creating, on progressing, on healing. Last year, I asked us to identify our values and reconcile them with our responsibilities to each other. And now, as we graduate, we are uniquely positioned to create a future that can more appropriately and more accurately embody these values. A future that is more sustainable, more equitable, more just, more empathetic. A future centered around collaboration and innovation. A future that we can be proud of. And the exciting thing is that each of us get to be the architects of this future. This I know we are capable of because we are Trojans after all. Faithful, scholarly, skillful, courageous, and ambitious. These are the qualities that will enable us to do better and to be better for ourselves and for each other. Now, graduates, on to a more personal note. None of us would be here today without the support and guidance of so many. Each of us owe a huge thanks to the people who made it happen. And I want to take a moment to share mine. I am so grateful to my advisors, mentors, professors, and other faculty and staff who championed me throughout my academic journey. I am immensely indebted to USC for introducing me to my friends, the people who make me laugh like no other, who support me constantly, and consistently push me to be the best version of myself. And most importantly, to my family. Mom, Dad, Brooke, and Natalie, thank you. A million times, thank you. Of all the things that I am most proud to be a Houtman. Congratulations again to the class of 2020 and 2021. I anticipate great things from all of us. Thank you and fight on.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back President Folt.
Thank you, Isabella, for sharing your thoughts with us. And now it is my great pleasure to introduce our commencement speaker, Beena Venkatraman. In everything she does, which is, by the way, quite a lot, Beena teaches us how to imagine the future, to prepare, plan, and dream about how we can have more meaningful lives and how we can work towards progress, social and environmental. She has a very influential position. She's the editorial page editor of the Boston Globe. She leads the newspaper's editorial board and oversees all of its opinion pages. She came to her current role after teaching students in MIT's program on science, technology, and society. And she brings all those interests to her work, including her courageous editorials. Recently, for example, she teamed up with the writer Ibram X. Kendi to create The Emancipator, which is a multimedia project that deepens our national conversation on race and racial justice. Beena also served as the senior advisor for climate change innovation under President Barack Obama. During her time in the White House, she focused on helping our nation prepare for challenges created by global warming and severe weather, from flooding to wildfires, from Ebola to K-12 STEM education. Now, you might easily say that Beena is a pragmatic visionary with her dreams in the sky and her boots on the ground, because she's always seeking practical solutions for the grandest, largest problems. She works hard to move humanity towards a greener, healthier, and more peaceful future. Her TED Talk about harnessing the power of foresight has been viewed millions of times. And her acclaimed book, The Optimist Telescope, Thinking ahead in a restless age is all about learning to look into the future and find better, smarter ways to imagine what's next. When I asked her to be our commencement speaker last year, I knew that her thoughtful optimism would inspire you. Given everything that has happened in our world this year, Bina's message is even more important than ever. Optimism, not fear of, is what the future needs from all of us. So now please just join me in giving a great Trojan welcome to Bina Venkatraman.
Class of 2020 and class of 2021, look at where you are. Pinch yourself. You made it. Don't pinch anyone else. Maybe you can't reach them anyway. Thank you, President Folt, and esteemed faculty and staff of USC and Trojans for the honor of being part of your commencement. This is such a special day. This is my first gathering with more than 4 people in over a year. And so while I know it's a lower density commencement, this is quite a lot of people for me. So wow. I just want to say to you that I never doubted you. I don't know you, of course, but I still feel this is important to say. I don't think anyone, however, can doubt what you are capable of now. More than any generation in recent memory, you've overcome trauma and adversity to get to this moment. The trauma and adversity of world events, a global pandemic for one, but also the trauma and adversity of your inner worlds. The people you've lost and the time you've lost. You've been forged in the fire of history. And what's forged in fire can be powerful. If you look back at the past few years, you're likely aware that your talents, your knowledge, and your hard work got you here. And all of that will serve you well, to be sure, in the years to come. But in my experience thus far in my life and my career, the most rewarding and meaningful moments have come not from flexing my talent or my knowledge. They've come from learning to summon courage. And so that's what I want to talk about with you today, is some of the lessons that I've learned about how you find that courage in your own careers. More than a decade ago, I was a lowly novice reporter in the newsroom of the Boston Globe. And I felt intimidated often by the talent and the knowledge of those around me. I often believed in other people more than I believed in myself. But because of something I cared deeply about, I dared to take on a fierce and powerful senator from the most storied and powerful Massachusetts political family, the late Ted Kennedy. I wrote a story about an offshore wind farm that Senator Kennedy thwarted with his power in the Senate. And afterwards, the senator wasn't happy. In fact, he was pretty upset. Even though it was a Saturday when this story came out, he called what seemed like every editor at the newspaper, all the way up the food chain, to complain about my story. Each of them, in turn, called me to ask me whether I had backup for what I'd written in my story. Had I done my work? Was this correct? Each time one of them called, I said the same thing. I did. I had done my work. I called the senator's office, and my story was accurate. All these calls felt like an intimidation tactic. Eventually, the senator's office called the highest-ranking editor at the paper on duty that day, a woman by the name of Ellen. Ellen called me up, and she told me, Senator Kennedy is livid, which I knew. She asked me whether I might have gotten it wrong, and if we should just correct the story. At this point, I was being asked, I think maybe for the 10th time, and I chose to say, did it occur to you that it's the senator who's wrong and not me? Ellen hung up on me. I was shocked.
But I was even more shocked by the way I'd snapped at someone in authority. Not something I was accustomed to doing, and maybe some of you can relate to this. And it was now clear that this editor hated me and that my future in journalism had disappeared. Still, I went back to work on Monday. I kept doing my job and covering that idea for an offshore wind farm and avoiding Ellen in the newsroom as much as possible. That small, super unsexy moment in my career, answering calls from editors about Ted Kennedy, turned out to be pivotal. It was a moment when I stood up for myself. How did I get the courage to stand up for myself? I told you I wasn't very good at it. Well, the way I found the courage to do that was by standing up for something larger. My courage came from wanting people to know the truth. It also came from wanting to keep political interference from thwarting progress on offshore wind power, an alternative to the fossil fuels that are warming this planet. I found courage because I cared about the future. Flash forward 10 years or so, and it was this same editor, Ellen, who recommended me to the publisher of the Boston Globe for one of the top jobs at the news organization, a position on its masthead as editorial page editor, which I hold today. She had also, years before, secretly recommended me to the job that led me to work in the White House. This was a person I was convinced hated me. Recently, I asked her about it, and she said she appreciated my bravery in challenging the country's most powerful senator, and my conviction when she challenged me. The very thing that I thought had made her hate me made her respect me. Courage doesn't always come easy to me, even now, but I've discovered that I can find it when I know I'm fighting a good fight and I'm fighting it with great people. When I worked in the Obama White House, I had many opportunities to flex my knowledge, flex my talent, and to speak in front of large audiences like this one, to tout the president's progress on climate change, and to be in the public eye. But none of that mattered to me as much as the most rewarding experience I had during my time in government, which was behind the scenes. I refused to give up in getting an intelligence agency to declassify a data set that could save the lives of people in poor nations by helping them better map the areas most likely to flood during devastating storms. I was told countless times that it was impossible to release the data. But a couple of my colleagues and I banded together, and we kept asking. And I'm pretty sure we just annoyed everyone so much that eventually they decided whatever risk they were worried about with releasing the data was worth having us off their backs. People think of courage as entering the arena, standing before a crowd, as I am now, or even standing up for a friend in a bar fight. But sometimes courage is just quietly asking, why not? 1,000,000 times until everyone gets sick of you. That's the thing. Sometimes courage in a world where people don't want to rock the boat will mean making your social group or your political party upset, or that people won't like you. But in exercising this kind of courage, you get something much more valuable, which is learning to like yourself. Here's something else I've learned. When you look for other people to inspire and fortify you in practicing courage, don't have heroes, at least not in the conventional sense. Be skeptical of putting people on pedestals. Rare talent, rare genius are not the same as being a hero. And as I'm sure you know, a talented artist or athlete can be an abuser, just like a brilliant scientist can be a eugenicist, and a bold, progressive senator can be a barrier to progress. You can admire these people, of course, for their accomplishments and their real achievements, But know that when you exalt people, when you expect them to be perfect and act like superheroes, you will inevitably need to tear them down from their pedestals when they turn out to be merely human. So look for heroes not on the silver screen or the pedestal or even at this podium, but at eye level and within reach. The people in your life who have been afraid but have done the right thing anyway. The people maybe who've walked alongside you during this past year. The people who've shown you by example how to be bold. Prize bravery over bravado. Prize bravery over bravado. Prize all moments of bravery, even the small and unrecognized ones. You can be heroic whenever you choose, whoever you are, without being perfect or celebrated or superbly talented. Finally, I want to challenge you to summon another kind of courage that is sorely needed in this moment of history. And it's the kind of courage that will set you apart in your career and in your life. It's the courage of imagination. What do I mean by this, the courage of imagination? The courage to envision that the world can be different and better than it is today. The courage to care enough about the lives of others and to believe you can make a difference. From what I hear, a lot of you are already cultivating this kind of courage, which makes me quite humbled to be in your presence. This courage of imagination is the kind of courage that teams of vaccine makers had when they believed that a COVID-19 vaccine could beat the odds and be created more quickly than a vaccine ever before in human history. And it's one of the reasons many of us are able to be here together today. It's the kind of courage that Frederick Douglass, Maria Stewart, and other abolitionists of the 19th century showed when they helped Americans imagine a society without slavery. It's the courage that Khalil Sabright, a Toronto carpenter, showed recently when he built shelters for the homeless that the city wasn't able to pull off. He imagined a solution to a problem that others said couldn't be solved, and buoyed by the Toronto residents who gave him money to do it. He did it. And it's the courage that groups of young people have today when they see not just the catastrophe of climate change, but when they imagine ways to solve it. This kind of courage can be hard to sustain, but you can be fortified by banding together with fellow travelers. And you can gain perspective by looking beyond immediate obstacles to a longer range future. Progress can take time. Just a few days ago, the US government announced that the country's first large-scale offshore wind farm, something I wrote about so long ago, it can power 400,000 homes, is finally going to be built off the coast of Massachusetts. It's so easy to be cynical about the world's problems, especially today. But cynicism, what is it? It comes from a fear of disappointment. If you don't expect anything to be better, you won't be left down. And while I know many lovable cynics, and I'm sure you do too, there are limits to what cynics can accomplish in the world. It takes courage to ask the question, is it possible to do what people say is impossible? And when people tell you it isn't possible, to keep asking that question, why not? My fierce hope is that you will keep honing your talents, your knowledge, your work ethic, all of your rare gifts that have gotten you here today. But that you will also summon the courage to stand for the truth, to stand for others who need it, and to let yourself imagine the possibility of things that others can't see. The crises of the world are not going away, anytime soon, anyway. But you and your fellow travelers can find the courage that is needed amid crisis. You can be brave enough to imagine the cures, the fixes, the technologies, the public art, the social justice advances of the future, and to set your mind to making them a reality. Congratulations, and fight on, Trojans.
Please welcome back President Folt.
Thank you, Bina. That was, just loved hearing your inspiring words. And now I'd like to introduce the deans representing each of the schools we're celebrating today. They each have a personal message of congratulations for our graduates. And we'll start with Erica Mull, the Dean of the USC Iovine and Young Academy.
Wow, what a pleasure it is to be here to honor in person the 2020 and 2021 graduates of the USC Iovine and Young Academy, a group of extraordinary creatives, technologists, and entrepreneurs who've contributed so much to the university through their time here, and who we know will continue to contribute great things to the world. Students, it's most often my place at commencement to provide some final words of inspiration and, hopefully, wisdom. But today I have to tell you that it's you who have inspired all of us, and that from you we have gained the wisdom needed to adapt to adversity with grace, patience, and perseverance. You've faced particular hardship and challenges of a scope and scale that hopefully you'll never face again. Your courage has been an example for all of us to follow, and we as a community have been enriched by your strength and your continuing compassion for others, though in many cases you are experiencing your own significant personal struggles. Despite circumstances that none of us imagined a year ago, you've continued to bring your all to bring about positive change across so many areas of society. Just as a few examples, you've assisted toy giant Mattel in envisioning product innovations that engage teens through emerging technologies, Apple in preparing teachers for the future of learning, Samsung in developing products to aid daily life during the pandemic, and the USC Ellison Institute in designing and prototyping technologies to transform patient care. And that's not all. New nonprofits emerging from Iovine and Young graduates this year and last include Torch, which is developing high-efficiency products to address living conditions for refugees, Lumium, which aims to eliminate stress associated with pediatric MRIs through playful, immersive experiences, and Ren, which not only quickly and easily calculates, but allows a user to instantly offset a personal carbon footprint. And these are just a few of the many examples of the impactful work that is being accomplished. Iovine and Young graduates, like all of the students graduating today, you represent the best of what we as a school and a university can achieve. You have worked hard, and you have overcome so much to get to this great day. We are so grateful to have been part of your journey. Congratulations, we are enormously proud of you and can't wait to see what you will continue to achieve as you fight on.
Please welcome the Dean of the USC Roski School of Art and Design, Haven Lynn Kirk.
Good morning to you, the talented USC Roski graduating class of 2020 and 2021, and the family and friends that are here for this celebration. Today, as we near the end of one of the most challenging eras in our history, these students are distinct and that they, even in normal circumstances, reaching graduation can be difficult. But this year's class has done it through extraordinary circumstances. Artists and designers must reach deep within themselves to imagine and create through deep reflection. Creativity connecting into creation isn't a simple process. It often involves soul searching, many long hours, and pushing through arduous experimentation to develop great practices. The USC Roski students here today, and to those who are graduating but could not be with us today, have triumphed over adversity. To the Roski graduating students, today is a time of reflection and celebration. Graduation marks the finish line in completing this goal when you move from being a student to becoming the creative person you aspire to be. I commend you on the completion of this task. We've been with you as you've strived to acquire new skills. We've been with you in your highs and lows. We've been there to encourage debate and sometimes even to cry with you. We've been your allies in your challenge to do more and to do differently, and sometimes to guide you through your struggles, help reflect, consider anew, alter course, or rebuild, but always to move forward. Yes, you've pivoted, repivoted, and adapted, but most importantly, you've succeeded. You're here at the finish line. Congratulations. I'm so proud of every one of you. To the families, friends, professors, and staff that have helped to guide the graduates, thank you for the support, love, and encouragement you've shown this exceptional group of brave and talented creatives. Today's graduates have used their time at Roski to challenge themselves, challenge their professors, also practicing artists, designers, and scholars, to create truly important work. Already, they have distinctly defined their place in our continuous history, and I consider myself very fortunate to be part of their lives. I look forward to what comes next as I will undoubtedly see them as they launch themselves into the world, and hopefully will greet them as my colleague and peers. Graduates, take the determination and resilience that you have gained these past few years to help shape the world you dream to live in and to move forward changes you hope to see. We can't wait to see what you'll do next. Thank you.
Please welcome the Dean of the Keck School of Medicine of USC, Narsingh Rao.
Good morning to all the graduates here today. I want to extend my heartfelt congratulations to all of you. As the interim dean of the Keck School of Medicine, I had privilege of seeing KSAM students successfully overcome one of the most challenging and unprecedented years in recent memory. I want to commend you on commitment, you and your studies, and your flexibility during these times. I have been thoroughly impressed with how you are able to adapt your studies, research during the pandemic without sacrificing your vision or drive. You successfully pivoted to remote classrooms, modified your community research projects, and dealt with challenging schedules. You rose to the occasion with hard work, resilience, innovation. You showed the type of grace under pressure and adaptability that will serve you well as you continue on your biomedical journeys. I hope that you are proud of what you have been able to accomplish. I know that I'm speaking on behalf of the faculty, staff, and leadership at the Keck School of Medicine when I say that I'm truly proud of your achievements. There are a lot of lessons that we can learn and take away from the COVID-19 pandemic, but I think one that has personally struck me is the reminder of how interconnected we all are. We are part of a global world, and we have an obligation as citizens and as healthcare professionals to care for not only those in our communities, but uplift the larger national and international communities. As the future leaders in your chosen branches of the healthcare sciences, I have no doubt you'll go on to do great things. In the coming days, months, and years, you'll be utilizing the expertise and the experiences that you have gained at the Keck School. The long hours that you have put into your research and training have equipped you to help prevent, understand, and respond to health crises, like the one that we are all reeling from the moment, as well as any others that may arise in the future. Congratulations again on this monumental milestone. I hope that you are able to celebrate with your loved ones today and revel on your accomplishments. And now I would like to introduce Dr. Donna Elliott, Vice Dean for Medical Education, who will be administering the oath of Hippocratic Oath. Dr. Elliott.
Doctor of Medicine graduates, please stand for the recitation of the oath. The oath that you will take today is modeled The oath that you will take today is modeled after the oath proposed by the Gold Humanism Foundation and modified to reflect the mission and values of the Keck School of Medicine. Please repeat after me. I swear by whatsoever I hold most dear that I will respect the scientific gains of the physicians in whose steps I walk. And gladly share with those who are to follow. I will remember that there is art to medicine as well as science, and that warmth, sympathy, and understanding may at times outweigh all else. I will not be ashamed to say I do not know, nor will I fail to call in my colleagues when the skill of others is needed for a patient's well-being. I will respect the privacy of my patients, for their problems are not for the world to know. I will prevent disease whenever I can, for prevention is preferable to cure. I will protect the environment which sustains us, in the knowledge that human health requires it. I will remember that I am a member of society with obligations to my fellow human beings and to the community that extends beyond my pursuit of medicine. Now, if I keep this oath and break it not, may I enjoy honor in my life and art for all time. Congratulations to the MD class of 2020 and 2021. It's now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Kevin Lohenry, Director of the Primary Care Physician Assistant Program and Associate Dean for Graduate Student Affairs to administer the physician assistant oath.
Good morning, and congratulations to all the graduates from 2020 and 2021 on your achievement. The physician assistant oath was written as a reminder of the commitment PAs make to society and themselves in the way they will carry out their duties for their patients, their colleagues, and their communities. I would like to invite the PA graduates and any PAs in attendance today to stand and repeat after me. I pledge to perform the following duties with honesty and dedication. I will hold as my primary responsibility the health, safety, welfare, and dignity of all human beings. I will uphold the tenets of patient autonomy, beneficence, non-maleficence, and justice. I will recognize and promote the value of diversity. I will treat equally all persons who seek my care. I will hold in confidence the information shared in the course of practicing medicine. I will assess my personal capabilities and limitations, striving always to improve my medical practice. I will actively seek to expand my knowledge and skills, keeping abreast of advances in medicine. Of advances in medicine. There you go. I will work with other members of the healthcare team to provide compassionate and effective care of patients. I will use my knowledge and experience to contribute to an improved community. I will respect my professional relationship with the physician. I will share and expand knowledge within the profession. These duties are pledged with sincerity and upon my honor. Congratulations to the class of 20 and 2021. You may be seated.
Please welcome the Dean of the USC School of Pharmacy, Vasilios Papadopoulos.
Good morning, and what a beautiful day. We all dreamt about this day, and now it is finally here. Today, we join together in person at this historic Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum to honor the graduates of the classes of 2020 and 2021. Today is a day of celebration and joy, and it comes after a long period of uncertainty, with many unknowns and many hardships. Many of you here today have been on the front lines throughout this global health crisis, staying on rotation, gathering and distributing PPEs, administering flu shots at COVID-19 testing sites, working in community pharmacies, clinics, hospitals. And when the COVID-19 vaccines arrived in mid-December, so many of you immediately asked again, how can I help? Where do I sign up to help? For you especially, the frontline healthcare providers, it is my honor to introduce a special message from Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti.
Hi everyone, I'm Mayor Garcetti, and it is such an honor to celebrate this momentous day with all of you. I am so proud of you. We are all so grateful to you. In this incredibly challenging year, you stepped up, and I witnessed how you helped the city launch and run COVID testing sites and vaccination centers, life-saving work that the city could not have done without your contributions. The first steps of your long career have been so important and so valuable. I know that they will stay with you forever. And I hope you revel in this moment. It's the culmination of your hard work. It's the celebration of all you've achieved. So on behalf of a grateful city, thank you for all you've done, and I wish you the best in the years to come. I'll be there alongside you, whether it's drawing vaccines or just cheering you on. You are all angels in the City of Angels. Congratulations, class of 2021.
As Mayor Garcetti said, you are all angels in the City of Angels. You answered the call to action, you persevered, you played a crucial role in helping our country out of the pandemic. You also finished your degree during a pandemic. You have shown to be the true Trojan spirit to fight on. I would like to say a word specifically to our USC School of Pharmacy graduates. Whether you are now a new pharmacist, a new pharmacologist, pharmaceutical scientist, health economist, or regulatory expert, you are entering the healthcare continuum with the potential to save lives and improve the human condition. The world needs your strength and leadership. As you receive your degree, remember that you are a driver of innovation. We are counting on you and the change you will bring to our world. The faculty, staff, alumni, and I join your families and congratulate you on all you have accomplished. We celebrate you, and we wish you good fortune as you begin your next adventures. You are forever a member of the Trojan family, and we will always take great pride in your achievements. Congratulations and fight on. It is now my honor to introduce Dr. Glenn Stimmel, Emeritus Professor of Clinical Pharmacy and the former Associate Dean for Academic Affairs in our school, who will lead our Doctor of Pharmacy graduates in reciting the oath of a pharmacist.
I am honored today to be able to celebrate your success and administer the oath of a pharmacist. While we will quickly run through that oath, I would ask that later you take a little bit of time to reflect on its words and meaning. This is your lifelong commitment to your patients and to your profession. Doctor of Pharmacy graduates, please stand. And in this venue, I would ask you to speak loudly so I can at least hear where you're at as you repeat the oath after me. I promise to devote myself to a lifetime of service to others through the profession of pharmacy. In fulfilling this vow, I can almost hear you. I will consider the welfare of humanity and relief of suffering my primary concerns. I will apply my knowledge, experience, and skills to the best of my ability to assure optimal outcomes for my patients. I will respect and protect all personal and health information entrusted to me. I will accept the lifelong obligation to improve my professional knowledge and competence. I will hold myself and my colleagues to the highest principles of our profession's moral, ethical, and legal conduct. I will embrace and advocate changes that improve patient care. I will utilize my knowledge, skills, experiences, and values to prepare the next generation of pharmacists. I take these vows voluntarily with the full realization of the responsibility with which I am entrusted by the public. Congratulations.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Provost of the University of Southern California, Charles Zukoski.
Thank you to our deans for the heartfelt words that we have just been hearing. This is a day of celebration. Graduates, it's an absolute pleasure to be here with you today. I am so delighted that we could come together in person to celebrate your exceptional achievements. Now it's my privilege to formally present our candidates for degrees. I mean, this is the moment, folks. We will salute each group of candidates before President Folt confers their degrees upon them. First, will our bachelor degree candidates please rise? Thank you. Each of you has worked hard to develop a solid base of knowledge by exploring a broad range of academic disciplines. You've shown tremendous personal growth, and you are well equipped to navigate life with the insight and skills you developed during your time at USC. Candidates for the bachelor's degree, we warmly salute you. Please be seated. Next, I ask our candidates for the master's degrees to please rise. You have built upon the foundation laid during your years of undergraduate study, gaining deeper knowledge in your chosen fields. You are ready for academic and professional success as the world looks to your expertise for building a society of the future. Candidates for the master's degrees, we warmly salute you. Please be seated. Finally, will our candidates for the doctoral degrees, including Doctor of Medicine and Doctor of Pharmacy degrees, please rise. You've demonstrated a mastery of your disciplines, as well as the dedication to strengthening your skills through rigorous scholarship and individual research. You have the talent and the drive to become leaders in your fields as you advance human thought and understanding in profound ways. Candidates for doctoral degrees, we warmly salute you. Please be seated. To all our graduates, congratulations on your remarkable scholarly and creative accomplishments. You've shown limitless potential, and you are prepared and eager to change the world. I know you'll continue to do great things. President Folt, I'm honored to present these candidates for degrees. They've completed their courses of study and are recommended for their respective degrees by the faculty of their schools. I now ask you to lead the conferral of the degrees.
Thank you, Provost Zukowski, for presenting our candidates for degrees. Could I ask you to all rise? It is my honor to recognize the outstanding work that has earned you a diploma from USC. Here it comes. By the authority vested in me by the USC Board of Trustees, I hereby confer upon each of you the degree or certificate for which you have been recommended by the faculty with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities appertaining thereto. As evidence of these degrees and certificates, I shall direct that an appropriate diploma of the University of Southern California be presented to each of you, signed by its officers and embossed with the university seal. On behalf of our entire community, I am truly delighted to salute USC's class of 2020 and USC's class of 2021. Congratulations and fight on. You can be seated. This has been an amazing morning. And for you, graduates of the Keck School of Medicine, the School of Pharmacy, Iovine and Young Academy, and the Roski School of Art and Design, you're steeped in a culture of scientific exploration, innovation, creativity, and public service that will serve you well as you build your future. So many of you, as we've talked about, played a direct role in helping to mitigate the impact of the pandemic and to reach out to people in need, and for that, we are so truly grateful. The skills you've gained here at USC, the relationships you've built, and the experience you've gained will be invaluable as you chart your own destiny as healthcare providers, as innovators, as disruptors, artists, and creators. Today, like I viewed that albatross, I have the chance to watch all of you take off. And I want you to take a moment, just take a mental picture of this day. I want you to remember the energy, the hope, the love and enthusiasm for life that you have. That feeling of opening up and stretching your wings. And I hope that you'll carry that with you wherever you go. You've learned how to finish stronger than you started, and you certainly aren't about to stop now. So as you leave today, forever a part of this magical university and that Trojan family, we promise you that you're always going to be welcome, valued, and heard. And now I'd like to call for another Trojan tradition and ask the families of our graduates to please rise. Graduates, whether you're here or watching online, it's now your turn, and I want this one to be really loud to say thank you and applaud all of them. Plus, I'm sure it felt good to stretch your legs. I also want you to think about a minute of thanks for the 350 people who worked so hard to create this wonderful celebration and the 13 other ceremonies and day-long virtual experiences they've created, as well as the many USC employees who make our campuses so beautiful. They make our traffic run so smoothly, our lives so pleasant, and who care deeply about you. Let's say thank you to them as well. Okay, so in a moment, graduates, you're going to march down the Coliseum field to receive your diplomas. You'll hear your name and you'll see your faces on the big screen. But before that happens, I want to introduce a talented student from our Thornton School, Benjamin Cross, who will sing our alma mater. I encourage you to sing along. And when we're ready to go, I want to say one more time, take care, congratulations, and fight on.